Yesterday, the derailment on the red line, a lot of frustrated, angry
Yep.
riders. I guess, what do you say to them? Was that a situation you think is acceptable?
Well, the situation was not acceptable because obviously something happened with the track and the train derailed. I think the most important thing from our point of view is that nobody got hurt. Credit to the T folks. They had the system back up and operating again by 6 o'clock last night, and this morning went relatively uneventfully. But they need to do some homework on why this happened and figure out if there is some issue that needs to be considered along the rest of the lines and the rest of the tracks to make sure that we don't have some terrible situation like this lurking somewhere else on the tracks. But I think the most important thing is nobody got hurt.
So some people thought it was too long for them to get back to regular service, that it was 8 hours and it caused all these delays, but you think they deserve credit for getting it? You see it differently.
Well, I would only look, anybody who was waiting, I'm sure for them the waiting was a huge pain in the neck, and I completely understand that. But the incident occurred somewhere around noon, and I think the system was back up by about 6. And I guess all I would say is the folks at the T scrambled to try to provide service and coverage for people. There are about 40 buses involved. Let's face it, buses will never be able to replace what you can get out of the capacity associated with the rapid transit system. The Boston Police Department was terrific at opening up traffic lanes for those buses so that they could move through the system relatively quickly. But yeah, I said to somebody yesterday that I really appreciate the fact that it was 65 degrees out and sunny. I mean, typically in February we don't get that kind of weather, and it's not acceptable that this sort of breakdown occurred. And people are going to do a forensic to figure out why it occurred and make sure that whatever the elements associated with that aren't present elsewhere on the tracks. But as I've said many times, most of the stuff on the tracks and the systems and the trains and the cars and all the rest on the T are 50 years old or more. For decades, people neglected making the investments they should have been making in the core system. We've been investing hundreds of millions of dollars in those core systems upgrades, and in a couple years from now, you're going to have basically new cars on the red line, new cars on the orange line, new signals and switches on both systems, new cars, and a very different system than the one we have now. But in the meantime, I get the fact that what riders had to put up with yesterday was unacceptable. I'm just really glad nobody got hurt, and I'm glad that the people at the T scrambled pretty hard to get the system back up by 6.